Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Chris Garris, and welcome to the Transporter Room. Today, we have a very special guest joining us, Rich Kelham. As you will learn, Rich is one hell of a Star Trek fan. Thank you for making the time to come to the show today. How are you doing?
I'm good, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for coming. Um, just to give people, let them know how we met was we met back in November at the Creation Trek to Dallas conference, and it was a pleasure getting to meet you and just talk and hang out. Because that's something about Trek fans is we can just sit there and talk about just about everything, and of course we talk about Trek. Um, and I was kind of curious, um, what did you think about? And we're not going to get too in depth, but still, what was it like for you getting to sit there, like in the restaurant and the bars, and just like looking around? Of course, I know you've probably been to other conventions, but still, for me, my first time, but like, be like, oh, that's like, Doug Jones, there's Tawny Newsome, so from your perspective, like, what is that like? How do you feel? I know it for me. It was just like this is awesome.
I mean, yeah, Dallas was kind of different. Done the Vegas ones before, and it's big. There's so many people, and it's a functioning casino at the same time over there, and so there's people there that aren't Trek. It's just there's so much going on. But then I went to Dallas. I didn't know what to expect, how big or small it was going to be. I arrived there the first night, checking in, and as I'm checking in at the desk, there's Connor and Dom sitting at the bar watching the football game. And so I'm like, okay, this is cool. So I text my wife, hey, I just saw the guys at the bar. And I go upstairs, drop my luggage off, and come right down to the bar. We're sitting there watching the football game, and they're just there. They're just there chilling, and it's kind of surreal.
It was, and that was me too. I got there. I probably got there the same day. I got there Thursday, like
Yeah, Thursday. Yeah.
early evening for
hmm
myself, and yeah, I checked in, went upstairs, and just like you, sure enough, they're just sitting in there, just shooting the bull. Um, which I'd been lucky. I had already met them like 2 weeks earlier out in LA for another event. And so, but yeah, I'm just like, oh my God, this was just, and that's something I've heard is that the difference between these smaller ones like the Dallas versus STLV is um they're so much more intimate because you don't have, you know, 25,000 people all around. And literally, we got to sit there and talk to them just like, because, well, they are. I mean, they're normal people, but still, we just got to sit there and talk to them like it was no big deal. Um, I would say probably one thing I don't want to say, I shouldn't say regret, but I so wanted to, like, Doug Jones was sitting in there and he was eating. So if he had been eating, maybe I would have walked up and said something. But I was like, oh my God, he's sitting over there. And then Tawny Newsome was sitting there at another spot. I'm like, don't do it. Don't be one of those crazy fans.
I mean, the difference is night and day. I met you. We met some other people that I'm still in touch with. I made friends, and like you said, you can just talk. There's no such thing as a stranger at a Trek convention. You've immediately got something in common, and you just start talking, and then you find out you have other things in common in real life, and it's just cool to meet those people. And at Vegas, it's so big that you never bump into the same person twice. But at Dallas, the same person you're seeing them over and over, and you're just like, oh, it's that guy, and then you go chat, and it was just so cool.
Yeah. I mean, and that's like, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but I already had Jen on, she
Yeah,
was the
watch.
episode 2. And so, and then I get Vernon. Oh, well, this will come after. I can say this now. It's a
Yeah,
bit while before it comes out. I'm talking to Vernon next on Monday.
yeah.
So,
He's a cool guy.
um, oh yeah, that's gonna be a fun one too. And so it was an enlightening experience, and and you can just go and there's not lines. Like I went to SpaceCon in San Antonio, and not to bag on that, it was great because it was everything. It was, Star Trek, Star Wars, Stargate, um, all those different, sci-fi series. And, there were so many people there, and it's not at a hotel, it's just at a convention center, so it's like you get your autograph and go about your business and do your thing. I remembered us talking at the hotel and whatnot about your different, the things you do and everything, and but I just don't think I don't remember us talking about your music, but then as you and I were visiting, working up to this, and
Mhm.
you shared some of it with me that you're actually you're a musician, and that specifically you do, Star Trek themed music. Give us some insight on, like, how did that come about? Like, how did you get into the music side of Star Trek?
Well, they kind of evolved separately. I was into rock music as a kid, and like a lot of us are, and I pursued that for a long time. I went and did a music degree at college. Like that was my thing back in England. And people may have picked up on the accent already, but I grew up in England. So I did a music degree, and I was pursuing that, and that was my passion. And meanwhile, I had this little Star Trek passion going off as well. And then I reached a point in my life where I was like, I'm going to, combine these, and let's write some music about Star Trek. And it's not exclusively Star Trek. I've done some songs about other things. I'm a big Babylon 5 guy too. I've got some songs about that. But yeah, there was a particular one about Captain Picard, and kind of like how he was a role model to me. He's kind of like the person you aspire to be. Um, so I wrote a song about that.
From an early age, I watched you. The lessons that you taught me still ring true. Thanks to you, I know how to live. The values you instilled in me, trust, cooperation, and honesty. Thanks to you, I know how to give. Oh, I wanna be just like you. You truly are what I aspire to. The things you do, the things you say, I wish that I could be that way. Oh, I wanna be just like you. Look at me, you are a part. I carry you with me inside my heart. Thanks to you, I'll always take a stand. In rapt attention every day, your actions speak as loudly as the words you say. Thanks to you, I truly understand. Oh, I wanna be just like you. You truly are what you're around. You've always been there through my ups and downs. Thanks to you, I'll never be alone. Soon you'll have no more to say, but the mark you left on me will stay. Thanks to you, thanks to you. Oh, I wanna be just like you. You truly are what I aspire to. The things you do, the things you say, I wish that I could be that way. Oh, I wanna be just like you. Oh, I wanna be just like you. Be just like you. Oh, I wanna be just like you. Be just like you. The things you do, the things you say, I wish that I could be that way. Oh, I wanna be just like you.
And lots of people like it, but they all assume it's about like my dad or something. And my dad's a good guy, but he ain't no Jean-Luc Picard. So you can edit that out.
I'm sorry. Oh my god.
No,
Well, yes, if we need to edit that out, you just let me know,
no,
unless
no,
you're dead. But yeah,
that's
that's
fine.
too.
He won't mind. It's one of those songs where you're singing about this person and how you just want to aspire, and how that all these wonderful qualities they have, like we know Captain Picard does. And people just be like, "Oh, that's a beautiful song you wrote about your dad." I'm like, Jean-Luc.
If he's bald and
Yeah,
has a British accent,
I mean he
but lived
does.
from
So,
France.
well, maybe not that part.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so that was the first one I did. And then, I got the ball rolling and I wanted to do a Deep Space Nine one. So I think that's the one I showed you the clip of. It's about, it name drops lots of things that happen in Deep Space Nine. There's the founders and the war and all of this stuff, and some little clever little lyrics that people who know the show will get it. Like I said in one line, there's 26 hours to go because Deep Space Nine has a 26-hour day, and just little things like that. It's just good fun.
Well, that's great. Yeah, I definitely will share that with everybody.
The best part is when people who are also Trek fans can hear it and appreciate it. You know,
When we were sitting there and you showed us your back, I was like, "Holy moly! Oh my gosh!" And so, yeah, I know. I don't think any either myself, Jen, or anyone were truly expecting um just, and I'm gonna call it, it is artwork. And I mean, you've literally taken Star Trek, it's in your blood and in your skin and forever. And so I'm gonna pull up, I'm gonna do this, the first one I'm gonna pull up. And this, when you showed us, in tech at the convention, I mean, just the detail that was involved in that is wow. So just yeah, explain some of that and like,
well, my journey with tattoos started, outside of Trek as well. I started with some other things, but then Trek's always been a passion in my life too. And it started off with that one in the corner, which is Data, who was another character that I just loved. And then there's some non-Trek related things under him. But then I wanted to finish my back, and I wanted to do the Trek thing, and I was thinking about different ideas, and Borg is what I settled on. I love the Borg; they're my favorite of the alien races, so to speak. And So that's what I did, and we've got Seven of Nine, we've got Locutus, we got the Queen. It's all on there, and I just representing my love for that.
I got to see this in person, and the pictures are great, but it just the detail, it just does not do it justice, but it's still phenomenal. Now I want to bring up the other one you sent me, and I didn't, and this is the beginning
Right.
of all of this. But what makes it even more cool is the person that's in the picture with you.
Yep, there he is,
The man himself.
man himself. So
Lieutenant.
this was 2015 in Vegas, so a long time ago. You can tell I still have hair. So so I was lining up for an autograph, and I had an 8x10 of my back tattoo, and I kind of put it down in front of him, and he like looked at it, and he's like, "Is that real?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's real." And he was like, "Oh, well, are you sure that was a good idea?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it was a good idea." And he's like, "All right, then let me see." So I whipped off my shirt, and he's looking at it, and everyone's then sort of gathering around and looking. And then it was actually that the actor who was in Favorite Toys. It's Saul Rubinek. Is that his name? The guy that's in the episode Favorite Toys with Data. He was there.
Oh, yes, 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 yes. Hold on. Let me pull that up while you're doing that.
I think that's his name, Saul something. Anyway, so he's like, "Come on, Brent, you got to go take a picture with it." So he's the one who actually took that photo,
The
which is
most toys.
the most toys. Yes, not Favorite
Yeah.
Toys. And so yeah, I got it immortalized, and then in Dallas this time. Now the rest of the back's finished. I gave him an update, and he remembered. He was like, "Oh yeah, and this is cool." And he took a photo on his phone of the whole back again. So
Oh, really?
yep, and I got in the background here in my photos, you can see there's a his signed photo of that as well. So
Oh, that's cool. And you're right. Saul Rubinek.
Soul Ruben.
He was the one
Yep,
that wanted data for his collection.
that's right. It's these crazy little surreal stories when you're at the conventions. You're like, "Oh yeah," and then I bumped into Catherine Janeway in the elevator. It's like, what,
What what first drew you to Star Trek in general? Like,
Well, I see this answer a lot when people are asked that, and it's my dad, it's the parents. In England, we have the BBC, the British Broadcasting Company, and on BBC Two every weeknight there was a Star Trek Next Generation episode from like 5 to 5:45. I want to say no commercials because the BBC doesn't have commercials, so that was great. So my mom's in the kitchen doing the thing, and me and my dad are watching the Star Trek episode. So it was Next Generation came first for me because that's what was happening when I was a kid. So some of those I was seeing in real time, but a lot of those were repeats. So I saw the first 2 or 3 seasons a lot. Um, but then you're hooked on it by that point, and then Deep Space Nine came out and Voyager came out, and I started those, but I have to confess I was a bad Star Trek fan because I got too far into the music that I kind of neglected Star Trek for a while. I got away from it, but then I came back and I caught up and binged all the stuff that I'd missed, and you know now I'm a good Star Trek fan again. I've seen
and
everything.
now you're a good Star Trek fan.
But it was Next Generation originally, and Jean Luc Picard and Data were always my two guys. And of course we had the little crush on Counselor Troy, who didn't. But yeah, that was that. And so a lot of my favorite episodes are Next Generation episodes because they just core memories from the beginning. My favorite show is Deep Space Nine because the way it's an ongoing story is, for me, is better than the episodic storytelling in the others. So I've rewatched that multiple times. Just it's such a good journey. Um, but yeah, any Trek is good Trek at this point. I don't necessarily enjoy all of the newer stuff as much as I did the '90s shows, but it's still Star Trek. So
My first, after TNG was actually Enterprise, which I have to admit that that's probably one of my favorite series of all of them right now. And for me, it had to do with their learning. The fact that, that humanity is learning how to survive in interstellar space and other species. Um, I did not get to see DS9 until it came out on Netflix, and that's when I actually got to stream it. And oh my god, it's a great series. I mean, they have some of the best episodes I feel in of all the series, honestly. I mean, don't get me wrong, Enterprise has some great ones, some very good thinkers like Dear Doctor and all that, but I mean, Pale Moonlight on DS9. Mm, yeah, Avery Brooks, he is just phenomenal in his episodes, and it's in the Pale Moonlight. I'm trying to remember. There's always like two, and it's kind of late, and I'm having a brain
Yeah,
fart right this minute.
Duet is
Uh,
one that everyone always says is a favorite. The one with
yeah,
Kira and the Cardassian, whose name I can't recall, but
yeah. Let's see here. In the Pale Moonlight.
and then it's Far Beyond the Stars where they
That's the other one I'm trying to think about. I was having a as I said, I knew that was one of 'em I couldn't think of. Yeah, in Pale Moonlight and Far Beyond the Stars.
Watch part 2 on Sundays at 12:30 p.m. Central on YouTube and X. For as little as $5 per month, you can gain early access to the full ad-free versions of all interviews, plus additional exclusive content by joining Patreon.